Well, hello everyone, and we are ready to rock and roll. We ain't gonna let a little stuff going on with the old internet slow us down, are we? Are we? Well, you gotta let me know. Gotta let me know in the old comments section. You let me know in the live chat if you can see me okay. Well, welcome to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if we're on right now. I hope we're on right now. I hope we're on, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the biblical plagues to talk about. That's right. That's right. Take a look at that thumbnail. A lot of stuff going on, right? Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding. Very strange. It's like, they call them comms. Figure skating comms, some people are saying. But there's a much deeper message in all the news that we're hearing about. The thing that right now has gotten my attention is the fact that Egypt is trending because it is saying no to Trump. Much like Egypt said no to Moses. Do you remember? Remember? Moses is like, let my people go. He was once a prince of Egypt. He was once one of the rulers. They loved him. And then he's like, no. They kicked him out. Then he came back a second time and he's like, I'm taking my people with me this time. And we got the same thing going on with the old Trumpster right now, which is interesting. My goodness, is he not signing like a gabillion executive orders, one after the other after the other? Well, there's a big deal with what happened. He brought the peace deal, supposedly. And now they don't know what to do with these 2.3 million displaced Palestinians. He calls Gaza it's like a place to be rebuilt. That's basically what it is. It's kind of like he said it's a demolition site. He used the word demolition, which is probably not the word to use, because this is a horrible tragedy. These people that, just trying to live their own lives, and then boom, they don't even know where to go, and no one will take them. Egypt and Jordan are saying no. They're saying no, no, no. Now, why is this interesting? Because I think that it's connected to the biblical plagues. The biblical plagues, there you see probably in the thumbnail, you see a lot of the old frogs, right? The old frogs, froggies. In the book of Revelation, the frogs that come out of the mouth of the dragon, the false prophet, and the Antichrist, well, they're unclean spirits. And in Scripture, an unclean spirit is a spirit that is a lie, okay? If you're clean, you're walking in the truth. If you're unclean, you're walking in sin, which is the thought of foolishness. So these plagues that are unleashed on the world, they have some spiritual significance. So I see Exodus playing out in a way that is pretty interesting. But before we get into that, we got to talk about how if you look at the thumbnail, you'll see that there's a bunch of frogs that are coming out of the water. I bet you the Egyptians were watching the water, right, when that came in. Okay, so we got everybody back. This is great. If you weren't here earlier, I started the show and it just started buffering. It started going nuts. Started going nuts. It's usually what happens when I have an important show, one that I want to get out, one that I think is significant and relevant. And, I'm trying so hard to do more and more material that, because everything's coming so quick. It's so quick. But you got to watch the water. Water is very symbolic, okay? In Scripture, water is compared to the Word of God. We're washed in the water, which is the Word of God, which is the truth. So the water would be like a truth, okay? So a fire would be a truth as well, because when Christ comes the second time, he comes with fire, so it's a purifying truth. You flood the world with truth. What happens? All the lies, all the bad stuff dies. But watching the water is kind of one of them call signs, especially if you're in the old conspiracy world of that 17th letter, which I'm not fascinated by it. I have a lot of you that probably know a little bit more than I do about all this. But this, this watching the water is a thing that we've heard probably, after the virus of the crown and going on, because there was a big, movie that made you think that, there was some weird stuff in, I don't even want to get into it. I don't even want to get into it. But I think the fact that the water is very relevant now because the press are asking Trump if he's going to go to the site. It's like, are you going to go to the site? Are you going to, where the Black Hawk helicopter hit this American Eagle plane, which, by the way, there's a lot of interesting, we'll say connections that people have made with that it was an American Eagle plane and the Eagles are facing the Kansas City Chiefs. We did a video on that when they met the last time. Remember? Because it left from Wichita, Kansas, and people are like, oh, it's witchcraft. I got to tell you the whole thing. Everything that we watch, if you start to peel back layers, everything seems to have some kind of an interesting little connection that we can look at and we can speculate. But really, what's the point of it? What's the bigger story? The bigger story is the toll of people's lives that are lost. And it is strange that all of this went down the same time, because the figure skaters, that Tanya Harding just appeared out of nowhere. I explained this in my last video where she was known for kneecapping Nancy Kerrigan. When Nancy Kerrigan, you probably remember her crying, screaming, "Why me?" Now Nancy Kerrigan just showed back up online again. Now she's crying again. It's all strange. It's all strange. But let me take this piece by piece. Okay, so he put out on Truth Social, watch the water. And ironically, I thought it was a little weird. So I kind of put it in my back burner. I said, oh, let me look at this. Let me think about what this really means. Now remember, it's the Potomac that this all took place in, where now there's new video of this terrible event. And there's a lot of, we'll say, fake news that's going around connected to this event. I mean, it's so just oppressive, and it's like so in your face. Some people are saying that the reason why this happened was the person wasn't adequately trained, that it was like a DEA hire. Then another, a DEI hire, whatever they're called. Then another one was saying, oh, that this is a person who, was a man's now a woman. All of this stuff just flooding, and everybody's reposting, and it's getting millions and millions of views, and nobody knows what the truth is because no one's digging a little bit deeper to find out. So you believe the lie, and then when it's revealed that it's a lie, what do? You got to watch the water. You got to watch the water. See what kind of, what are you dealing with here? Are the frogs coming out of it? You're going to see how this is connected to the exodus of Israel from Egypt and other things. But I found it interesting because just last night he was being interviewed and people are giving him a hard time. They were saying that the Trumpster was being a little insensitive. They're like, are you going to go visit the site? And he's like, what? In the water? What site? In the water? What do you want me to go swimming? And it seemed a little insensitive. But you know what? People could say that I'm doing my videos very lighthearted and everything else in the face of tragedy. At least, at least I'm trying to make light of this interesting, terrible event that we have. We find ourselves. This is only January. We've been through so much. We've had attacks. We've had explosions. We had drones. It's too much. I said this on the first time I tried this, by the way. It is a Jubilee year. Jubilee, if you remember correctly, this is the time that we're entering into. Jubilee is what would happen to Israel. They were slaves for a long time, then they were set free. But Jubilee doesn't look so great. Sometimes it looks like you don't know where you're going to go or what's going to happen next. But God's got you. By the end of the show, you're going to have hope and encouragement, I promise, in the face of all this madness, especially if you're doing good. But watching the water, I thought was strange. Okay, because that was the first plague, by the way. The water turns to blood. The Nile River. Okay, now this isn't the Nile, this is the Potomac. Okay, but you know what's weird about this is the fact that he said, what's the site? The water? And a day or two earlier, he's saying, watch the water. And I just found it interesting that there's all this connection to whether or not this is, we'll say, like, I don't know, like preordained, or maybe a program, or maybe following a script. Because that Potomac, this is weird. Do you know who tried to cross the Potomac after trying to take the life, well, actually, and succeeding, of Abraham Lincoln. That was John Wilkes Booth, the actor, who assassinated Abraham Lincoln in the theater and then tried to escape doing what? Crossing the Potomac, crossing the water. That's weird. And it got me a little like, I got a little worried because I don't want to see anything because, it's like, I'm like, we're just trying to live our lives here. Eggs right now, it's like $150 to get some eggs. Just went to the store before you. We all got real problems, right? Well, you almost get tired of hearing all this stuff, but there's so much mass chaos going on around the world right now with now this new switch of things. Tariffs going on with Canada, stuff's going on with Mexico. We don't even know. We could be seeing a big issue in the future. We could be seeing prices going through the roof. Or maybe not. I'm not too sure. But I do know that sometimes you have little distractions from the bigger problem. And the distraction that we're all about right now is like, why all of a sudden is Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan all of a sudden in the news? And I will say, you look at the two of them, and it's like, man, this is just too surreal, especially with all the skaters. Now, here's so funny, right? So Tanya Harding's back. Now, everybody's like, this is a con. And maybe it is. Maybe like everybody's an actor. Maybe everybody that's in the limelight, in the public light, maybe they're all, paid. Maybe we're in an alien soap opera where we're all the lead character. I'm okay with that. We have a lot of people here. Hey, do me a favor, will you? Smash the like so that more people come. But they're like, this is a con. Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding, they're saying something. And maybe they are. Maybe they are. Tanya Harding, you know what she puts this out? Now, this is weird, okay? This is weird. She puts out this, I'm absolutely blown away by the amount of love and support I've gotten. But Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding, she put blown away in caps. So then I'm thinking to myself, like a lot of other people are probably thinking, well, you're probably thinking, there's some kind of an explosion coming or some kind of a catastrophic wind. Because why else would she caps blown away? This is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. We might as well enjoy it, right? Anna Nicole Wordsmith over there on X, she's enjoying it. Remember how I talked about just recently on my video? By the way, I've done a video every day. I'm working so hard because I'm putting my best foot forward. I want to make sure that all of you are getting everything that you need to get from the old babyface meatball here, which I'm growing back my beard. Everybody really thought that I was really torn up about it. I was more torn up with the fact that I didn't know why I did it and the fact that it was connected to the stuff that's going on with Robert Kennedy. Which I don't know if you're not paying attention to the crazy news. Everybody wants to talk about one thing when it comes to Robert Kennedy right now. Let me show you where this is. The fact that maybe he's dipping. Yeah, let me just show you that right there. Okay, this is another thing. This is now the headline. It's like the guy maybe put a pouch in, like a peppermint schnapps pouch or something. I don't know. I don't really know. And, the irony is I put a post out about this because people are like, oh, New York Post was like, hypocrite, Robert Kennedy Jr., calling him a hypocrite because, you could be all about the health and still have habits that aren't that great for you. I mean, when we're all works in progresses. We're not all the best, right? We could all be better. We could all be better. I mean, if he's dipping, at least he's not like spitting in a cup. This is something I used to do. I used to smoke. I used to dip. I used to do pouches. I did it all. I know Tucker Carlson has his own brand. He's like a big fan of that. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make manly men back again. I don't know how getting, cancer in your lip is anything to brag about, but just like the frogs that come out of the sea, a lot of people are going to tell you, look, Jacob, that dipping is good for you. Smoking is good for you. There are a lot of truthers that smoke tons of cigarettes and they're going to say it's so good for you. My nanny, she died very young, in her 60s. She was like my mother. I lived with her until I was like 6. And she's everything to me. I wrote about her in my novel. I wrote the chapter about her, a big one, when I was in the hospital right before she passed away. Cancer of the lungs, because she smoked. I grew up in a house of smokers. We didn't know any better. Nobody smokes in my house now. Yeah, I want my children to be better. But, so listen, if the guy who's in charge of your health and everybody else's health is dipping, it's really not that big of a deal, I guess. But I don't want to be told that it's good for you. I don't want to be told that. Nor do I want to have to worry about the fact that this guy over here, let me blow this up, Senator Kennedy, the other Kennedy, who he created quite a roar at the confirmation hearings. He's a big fan of the conspiracies. Well, I said, I'm guessing it's not a mask, but a facelift, because everybody's like, what's going on with Senator Kennedy's ear? It's everybody saying it's a mask. They're like, he's not real. He's a reptilian. And then you got Joe Rogan. He just had somebody on his show, and he's telling you that they could talk about all the other alien races, but when it goes to the reptilians, you got to hush hush. Oh my God. Rhonda Peterson, your favorite meatball, wants to know what world he's in, where you got to worry about reptilians, you got to worry about people wearing masks. It's all so strange and weird to me, but this is life, right? So, he's probably got a bad facelift, That's what I'm thinking. You got to tell me in the comment section. But Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan, this is what they call a moment in time, a touchstone, like a ribbon around a tree. If you were a time traveler, this would be like one of those things that would tell you what's going to happen next, right? Because what happened after the Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan last time? Ronald Reagan was done after that. That was it. It was a very strange, very strange. But the fact that I talked about her doing that triple Lindy. Remember I called it the triple Lindy in the show? Well, it's called the triple axel. And Anna Nicole, the wordsmith, says a triple axel in figure skating is 3.5 times, which I have to admit I found interesting. I did find this interesting. She connected it to the book of Revelation, chapter 11, 8 through 11, which is connected to Egypt, and their dead bodies shall lay there. This is about the witnesses of God. This is all about all of us, all right? Because this is all spiritual playing out. And the bodies shall lay in the streets, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified. Now, just for those of you that love the Bible, you know that Christ was crucified at Golgotha, which is known in the Hebrew tongue as the place of the skull. And you could take this and dig into it and really enjoy it, because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the way to truly live your life, if you put it that way, was put to death at the place of the skull. It was put to death in our thinking. Christ, we're crucified with Christ. It's a picture of the truth of God dying so that we could live. Now we must die so that Christ can be resurrected in us, if you will. This is a work of God. It's not a work of us. The hope of glory is Christ in you, which means we're like those witnesses. We're walking around dead. We're ignorant. We're carnal for 3.5 days. But after 3.5 days, God breathes life into them. Okay? At this point in time, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, that's not where the Lord was crucified. I just told you. So that's interesting, because it's a little more, it's a little more intricate than just being like a literal place. There's a symbolic and a spiritual meaning. Jesus only spoke to people in parable for a reason, so they would understand the deeper message. And the people, the kindreds, the tongues, the nations, they will see the dead bodies of these witnesses, which, some people are going to say is just two literal people. I'm going to say, no, it's not about two literal people, okay? It's about all of us. That's what it's about. And they that dwell on the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and send gifts to one another, because the two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3.5 days, the Spirit of the Lord does what? enters them. And then they stand to their feet, and great fear falls upon those that saw them. After 3.5 days, the witnesses of God breathes life back into them. Where once we didn't have a voice, where once we were, it's almost like this is our moment. This is our exodus, if you will. I liked it. I like taking world events and I like looking to it and thinking, well, maybe there's more. Now, what I've done on the show many times, thank you all for hitting the like too, and I appreciate that you're enjoying the show. Yeah, let me know. And thank you for the super chat if I miss you. This is the thing, all right? Fake news is all the rage. Now, here's a problem. People were quick to say that this was like Matt Walsh. There you go. This is a guy who has gets millions and millions of impressions. And he's always wrong. There are so many people that are always putting out a bunch of baloney, and then people say, oh, I know this guy because he's sort of famous on X. It must be true. But this event, became all about, oh, it's somebody who was hired who wasn't trained enough. When you hear like I think it's DEI hires, is that what it is? When you hear this stuff, you think, oh, well, they're making it out like it's people that are not qualified, but they get in because of their race, or they get in because of their orientation, or they get in and they really shouldn't have gotten in because they are handicapped. That was the news, that they were hiring all people that can't walk around, that they can't, that are like, we'll say mentally not fit or capable, crazy people. That's what they're making it up. They're like making you think that these hires are like really just psychos. And it could be. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But I do know that they were quick to blame this person right here. They even went so far, I saw a couple of people said, they even went so far to say that this person was like hates Trump and was like on a tirade about Trump. And then they made it out like when you read it, you think, oh, and then they show you the footage and you see the thing going quick towards that plane. And you think this was done on purpose. Oh, I hate those people. That's what that makes you think. Turns out none of it was true. None of it was true. And ironic, even just the name Joe Ellis. Like God is gracious. That's what Ellis means. Well, Joe went online to tell everybody, look, it wasn't me flying the Black Hawk. I do fly, but it wasn't me. I bet you these posts are still up. Someone sent it to me. I love when I get that stuff too. Because then it's like, if I'm not going to take a moment or two to look into it, and I'm just going to come on here and just say that this is what it is. Well, we got problems. We got problems because no one knows what the truth is. The Trumpster told us back in the day, fake news, fake news. He was telling us because that's what's flooded on the earth from the dragon. It's lies. What comes out of the mouth of the dragon, the false prophet, and the antichrist are frogs. Now, I've compared these frogs to AI, okay? Because, well, if you think about it, because everybody's kind of connected to social media, and these unclean spirits, now they're translated into these algorithms that now promote stuff that comes out of the mouths of people that are like the devil, people that are like the Antichrist, people that are like the false prophet and the beast. These frogs that come out of us, these artificial intelligent programs, I don't know if you know this or not, they're learning from us, but a majority of us are sick and angry and hateful. But now it looks like there's executive orders. You're not allowed to do certain things, say certain things. Told you the crackdown's here. The crackdown was coming. It's been coming for a long time. It's here now. There's not much you can do about it. But if you're doing good already, you're going to be all right. But they lie. They make up stories. Now, let me show you. It's on the other side too. Okay? It's on the other side too. It's not just the story of like, Doge saved America $50 million for condoms. That wasn't actually what it was for, just so you know. You read it and you think, my goodness gracious, how much the condoms cost? $50 million for condoms. It had to do with a lot more than just that. And it wasn't even really about just the Palestinians, just so you know. When you look into it and you start to read these reports, you start to say, oh my God, maybe this funding shouldn't have been cut because it sounds like it's really nice. 50 million, what is that in the meantime? If you think about it, how much does Elon have? How much is he worth? Right? How much is Bezos worth? You think about these things, and they're the ones that are cutting, making the cuts. I know people right now that are reaching out to me that they're nervous. They work for the government. They're worried they're going to get their job. One of them, Nicholas, just reached out to me too. Said, hey, I bet you a lot of people are very concerned. I bet you a lot of people are going to put in for that 8 months. 8 months, right? We're going to let you go. We'll pay you for, we'll pay you. I do believe that if you're getting paid to work, you should go into work to work. And if you're not going to go into work, you should be let go. I mean, you should be at work if you're going to work, right? I actually miss going somewhere to be around people. It's a blessing to be around other people, to have community. What do you want to be in your PJs all day for? You don't want to be in your PJs all day. Trust me, I've tried it. It's not fun. Sure, you put on the witness shirt and the buckle up shirt and you do all that. You look nice here, right? It's all business up here, but it's all sleepy time down there, When you work from home, what does it matter? And I'm not wearing PJs right now. But they're already calling for insurrection. I don't even want to say those words. They're calling for it. Look at this. This guy, Jeffries, he's, they call him like the Obama imitator. Jeffries is like, we're going to fight. We're going to fight in the courts. We're going to fight legislatively. And then he goes, pauses, looks at the camera. And we're going to fight in the streets. We're going to fight in the streets. He could have said, and we're going to make our voices known. We're going to, we're going to hold rallies and we're going to protest peacefully. But he goes, no, we're going to fight in the streets. That's what we need to worry about when eggs are like $150. This is the day that we're in. Egypt doesn't want to let the people go. We've been through so much. We just want to enjoy our lives. They're like, no. Moses comes back, says, we're going to make things better. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is Moses, but I'm using his story right now to tell you the biblical story because it's playing out. We have a new ruler here. We do. Whether he is, going to do the will of God or not, I believe so, because I don't think he has a choice. But whether he wants to do the will of God and do good, I can't tell you that. Can't tell you man's heart, but we can look at his fruit. Thank you for the super chat, Infinite Love. I appreciate that. You can look at the fruit to know if someone's going to do the will of God. But they're lying about that. They're saying, look, on his first day in office, they're blaming Trump for this accident that happened over the Potomac. Donald Trump froze hiring of federal employees, including air traffic controllers. Take a look at that community note right there. Now that's a congresswoman lying. Federal air traffic controllers are exempt from the hiring freeze, which is something that I discussed with Nicholas. There are people that are essential. They're not going to freeze the hiring, not going to cut people, when it comes to running. They're not dumb. How stupid would that be? So you got fake news everywhere. You got the lies everywhere. You don't even know what to believe because no one's telling the truth. Moses held up his serpent, much like the Trumpster did at Halloween, right? He said, let my people go for the system. This is what, this is the story of Moses. He comes back to set his people free. But he comes in as a different ruler this time, very different than Donald Trump. All right, he doesn't get the fanfare, and he doesn't get his face on what's the name of the mountain? Mount Rushmore. He doesn't get his face on Mount Rushmore. He doesn't get any of that. Moses comes in. He's a humble shepherd at this point in time. Doesn't have anything. He just had his wife and his family and his brother by his side, and he had the one staff that God had given him. He says, how am I supposed to lead the people? I think Donald Trump always knew that he was going to lead the people, right? Moses had a problem speaking. I'm not good with speaking. Trump knows how to speak. So listen, I'm not saying it's him, but I'm saying I see the spiritual story playing out within all of us in the world because Egypt says no to Moses. And according to Jim Caviezel, Donald Trump is Moses, and Egypt saying no to Donald Trump. Like that is trending, number one. They're saying we are not taking these Palestinians. We're just not doing it from Gaza, which, by the way, he called the demolition site. Egyptians are protesting the displacement. That's another thing they call it the displacement theory. This is all biblical. This is all biblical. Moses comes in and says, set my people free. And what does he do? He just makes their life harder. It was kind of like us, right? When we thought things were hard when the virus of the crown first hit. You know, we got locked down and just things got harder. Things can progressively get harder. And now we don't know what's true and what's not true. And now there's actually executive orders and there's going to be legislation soon. Mind you, there's going to be legislation soon where if you spout fake news, you may end up in trouble. You see it already happening in other countries where people are just, they knock on the door and they're like, did you post on February the 3rd? That King Charles did not look good. I mean, I'm making light of a situation that's very serious. But when you don't know what the truth is, how are you going to make sure that you don't make the mistakes that they're saying that if you make them, you're in some serious trouble? You know, this is not a good thing today. We have to worry about what we say. We have to be very careful going forward, and we can't be sharing fake news. Can't be. It's going to have to be dialed back, and they're going to crack the whip on this. I'm telling you, I see it happening. There's already a law, there's already, I believe, or an executive order dealing with anti-Semitism, you know? This is something that I told every one of you. I said, you better not be doing it, because it's all like, you know, you feel like you're so free on X. They're collecting all the data. They know all of you who said what you said. The AI has been keeping track. You feel like you got a little freedom and you get dumb. They give you enough rope to hang yourself. You got to be smart. That's why it's time to turn on to a new day. It's time to repent, to come to God in a new light. God says to set the people free. Pharaoh's like, no. So what does he do? He sends the plagues. And one of the plagues that he sends is, you know, the frogs. AI are as these frogs, these unclean spirits of revelation poured out onto the earth. They get into every nook and cranny of your life. And they can be burdensome, oppressive, and deceptive spirits. But if you take a look at those plagues, by the way, if you go to the corner of the screen right over here, see that jacobisrael.com? That's my website. Go there. It's free. Access to everything's free. You click on it, subscribe to it. I have an essay on the 10 plagues. I have videos on the 10 plagues. It's a deeper meaning. If you take a look at the last plague, just a heads up, it says death of the firstborn. It's not about a literal firstborn dying. It's about the firstborn nature. Okay, so these plagues, although they seem so horrible, the blood in the Nile, the blood, you know, and then the frogs, and then the lice, and then the flies. These are all plagues that get you to get out of the system. Do you see what I'm saying? It's there to drive you out, to set you free, because we are in the Jubilee. And who leads you? It's Moses. You know, Moses can lead you. And who do we got? We got Donald Trump. We got Nebuchadnezzar himself. Possibly Jehu, possibly Samson. Happening right now. Very strange. Very strange. The whole thing, I believe all of it, as terrible as it's going to get, because it's going to get, I mean, you look at the other, like if we're at like the frogs now, right? You got the lice next, you got the flies next, you got the sick cattle, you got the boils, you got the hail, you got a lot of stuff. 2032, we're supposed to, you know, between Bennu and between this new asteroid that I just talked about. If you haven't seen my last video, go back and watch it. It was short. It's like 11 minutes. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows if even space is real? See, that's the thing we don't know. So, in any event, I wanted to come on here and I wanted to just give you a little levity. All right? In the midst of all this stuff, I see this happening and I can't help but think this is good. This is good ultimately, as long as we're doing good, you know? And it's going to get crazier. Just don't get freaked out. Don't get scared. And most certainly don't lose faith. Pray. If you're having a problem with fake news, you know what you do? Ask for the truth, no matter what the cost. That's what you do. You pray. And if you want to be reminded of that, go to the description of the video. You click right down there, right over there, down there. You click more, open it up again. You'll see all the links, and you can go on there and you get the Teach Me the Truth shirt. You can get the Buckle Up shirt. You can get the all of the mugs. All this stuff supports the channel. I'm supported 70% by you. By you. YouTube, X, all, I'm not even monetized on X. They won't even, I can't even, I don't know why. I mean, people are monetized with a lot less subs. But it is what it is. The Lord has me in his hand, and he has you in his hand too. Isn't that a good place to be? Like Jacob's prayer, just give me a little more than I need. He's never going to leave us, and he's never going to forsake us. This is a promise. Even the plagues in the land ended up getting people into the promised land. So, get into the promised land today. I love each and every one of you. I hope you had a good time. I wanted to come live, and I'll say hi to some of you in the live chat here. We got like 1,000 people. This is great. Yeah. I'm happy you showed up. Okay? I'm going to go, though, because I got like a doctor's appointment next, and then I got to get together with the Dandad. She gets home. It's Friday. Fridays. It's a good day. All right. I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon. Please do, if you want to support the channel, you know what to do. Okay? Hit the like button now. Share it around. Have the best day ever. Bye-bye.